Oh, I am so full of playoff cheer.
Oh, and you got some room for some second playoff helpings?
The best coverage of high school and college athletics in Northeast North Carolina begins now. This is NENC Sports Radio Show on WRVS 89.9.
So second round eating?
Yes.
Feasting on the second round.
Feasting on the second round.
Yeah,
got more playoff games.
Oh, yeah. It's football. We got to have at least a second round in here. Happy Thanksgiving if you're listening on WRVS 89.9 FM. That means it's likely 7 p.m. on Thursday. And this is the best show, the award-winning show that covers Northeastern North Carolina athletics. Glad you're taking some time on your holiday with us. He is Malcolm Shields, sports writer for the Daily Advance, and I am Advance sports editor Owen Hassel. What a time to be a Nighthawk, Malcolm.
Mm-hmm.
First flight, of course, that is. Boys soccer team coming off a two-way state championship against Chase last Saturday in Raleigh. Winter season upon us, meaning its wrestling team is going to look to defend the team state title of its own. Kittable Hills, NENC's title town.
Yes.
How's that sound?
Strike up queen.
Yes. Of course, there are also the Fighting Chad Williams three-pointers basketball team. And joining us is said Chad Williams, coach of the First Flight boys basketball squad, the lone original, I call him. All other sports, I believe, at First Flight have had at least one coaching change since the doors opened in 2004. I think, Chad, you're the last one. Is that correct?
If I'm not mistaken, I think Mark Cross with girls soccer may be the only other holdover.
So two.
Two of us. Yep, two of us left.
Oh, what is the...
He stuck around out of success, and I stuck around out of just sheer longevity, I think. So.
Right. Don't put the pressure on yourself. But go. What's the energy like on the beach now after that state championship win? I'm sure that the school is buzzing. Yeah,
it really is. It's I'm just so happy for Coach Ramirez. Twice a bridesmaid and finally a bride. Third time was a charm for him. The kids really worked hard this year. It's the hardest working group I've seen him have, and he did a fantastic job with them. And they were a really fun group to watch play. I mean, I don't know soccer very well, but it looks like basketball sometimes, and it really did watching them play. It was fun to watch them play. They were really offensive minded. That they looked to strike and on every opportunity, and it was fun sending them off and then having them come back. It's been really nice having them around. And had a little pep rally for them today at school on the way out, and kids have a lot of fun. And it does re-energize the school. It sort of builds some cohesiveness between the sports programs, which is something that we have needed. And it's just a really exciting time down here.
Well, obviously, we'll talk more with Coach Williams throughout the show. But first, for more on Northeastern North Carolina sports, follow us on Twitter. Also use the hashtag NENC Sports to keep the discussion rolling. You can follow us at NENC Sports. Then for me, I'm at ONOBX. Malcolm?
I'm at Malcolm_Shields.
Coach, you also have Twitter?
At First Flight Hoop.
And there's more ways to stay involved with sports in Northeastern North Carolina in the form of a blog. Go to nencsports.wordpress.com for tidbits that aren't always in the Daily Advance, plus interviews and video from various Northeastern North Carolina games. More Northeastern North Carolina athletics after this.
You can listen to Owen and Malcolm on YouTube. Hear your favorite shows and segments on demand with the WRVS 89.9 YouTube channel.
The WRVS 89.9 High School Game of the Week returns in December, featuring live varsity boys basketball games. And your business or organization can join in on all the action. Sponsorship packages are available now. Call 252-335-3985 and find us online at ecsu.edu/WRVS.
This is Edenton coach Paul Hoggart, and you're listening to NENC Sports Radio Show on WRVS 89.9.
Boy, Malcolm, this will be the one day I hope nobody's going hungry.
No, hope not.
The Thanksgiving episode of the Northeastern North Carolina Sports Radio Show. 2 goals for state title MVP Tommy Scott, one each from Vega Sproul and Quinn Douglas, as the Nighthawks added a third team state title for the school. got one in 2008 for girls soccer, and then wrestling on the Malcolm, the individual points of the individual tournament, if that makes sense. Not the dual team championship, but helps when you have 3 state champions, individual state champions.
That helps.
Their first flight early this year in wrestling, which gave them the points to win that. A state title is a state title. That's it.
Yeah.
Take it.
Yep.
Celebrate that trophy.
Goes up with all the other babies.
Also had one in indoor track last year, too.
4 state titles
Alex Rodman. Yep.
for first, an individual one.
Individual, that's correct.
See, I'm thinking team, but no, that's
Right.
just as good. Just as good.
Yes.
But we're trying to get the team state title situation. Is a lot to factor in here, because we got a lot of individual state champions as well.
And it kind of highlights the success that this corner of the state has had this year in athletics, with the number of teams going to East Regional Finals and success at the state level.
Right. We've talked about that each season. There's been at least one team from the corner that has gotten to at least a regional final or state championship and won. It started with First Flight Wrestling, Northeastern Boys Basketball, and then in the spring it was Edenton Baseball, and in the fall, of course, Curry Tuck Volleyball getting to a regional final, and then First Flight Boys Soccer doing First Flight Boys Soccer things and winning a state championship.
And I think we for some reason always forget we get about Northeastern Indoor Track.
Northeastern Indoor Track, absolutely. Yeah. It's interesting when you forget.
Yes.
You don't want to forget.
Yes.
But it just shows you the depth this year that I've always said that you got the chip on your shoulder if you're from here and you've played sports here. And Coach, I know you agree with me on this, that you don't get the love here. People think we're part of Virginia, all those different storylines. But at the same time, respect is earned. You have to go get it. You have to come out of the corner fighting. And this year has been make the NENC great again. Right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Without a doubt. We'll take on anybody, anywhere, anytime. That's kind of that attitude we all got to have.
Yeah. And here are some of the Northeastern North Carolina schools without a state title at all. Any sport. Camden.
Wow.
Pasquotank. And yes, Northeastern. Now, there's some discrepancy there because in 1969, the school opened. The football team won what would be considered a state title, but that was a year that the East champion didn't play the West champion. So if you look up the record books, it'll just consider both West and East champion like a state champion. But again, it's like an asterisk. And it wasn't the players' faults or coaches. They played everyone they were set to play. It's just how it went that year. There were years back in the 50s and 60s where the West champion, the East champion just didn't meet. I don't know if it was just logistics or just the money to bring them together in a neutral site. I don't know. So, I don't know. There's probably both sides of that, but otherwise, really no state title for Northeastern. It's been open since 1969. Camden around the same time frame. Pasquotank a few years older than First Flight, opened in 2000. First Flight with 3 and 12 years.
Not bad.
That's not bad at all. You're next with basketball, Coach, right?
I hope so. We're working hard to try and get in the conversation at least. We know we've got a long way to go, but the program's made great strides in the last few years.
When First Flight was still being built, I can remember this like it was yesterday. People at the beach salivated when they were talking about one sport's potential, and that was soccer. OBX Storm was already big. Mania was already seeing its benefits as a 3A school, and now you're going to open up this 2A school and have soccer there, and it should really make a splash. There's no doubt about it. But from what I covered the first few years down there, First Flight's toughest opponent was First Flight. I sensed a lot of ego, a lot of attitude, and then Juan Ramirez takes the job. And you slowly but surely see this positive shift. Coach, in your estimation, what has Coach Ramirez done to give this program such a lift? Because 3 state title appearances in 4 years, that's huge.
Well, it's interesting that you say that. And the first thing I did when the game was over was I texted Coach Ramirez and I said, "Congratulations, you did it, and you did it your way." It's and that's not easy to do. When he took the job, there was a lot of pressure. Obviously, our youth program here has been very successful. Middle school program's been very successful, and everyone just assumed that would continue at the high school level. And it just, we had success, but it was, it's relative. And, we had opportunities back in, the fourth or fifth year we were open, and, bad luck or whatever it is, we didn't make it. And Coach Ramirez is a really positive guy. I mean, he's one of the nicest people I've ever met, and he wants the kids to do it, but he wants them to do it the right way, and his way is the right way. And and he certainly has benefited from the success of the youth program, but he's also been able to put his own stamp on the program. And in other situations, it's been very difficult to differentiate between the club soccer and the Parks and Rec soccer when they get to the high school, and now they have one coach to listen to, and we've got so many teams down here that are playing against each other, and the best player on this team is not going to be the best player on the middle school team, and then when you get to high school, it's going to, at least you're going to tighten up even more. And so it takes a while to sort of, put your stamp on your program, and I'm really proud of what he's been able to do, and sort of, put what he wants forward with these guys, to happen. And it's been really fun to watch it happen.
And what could happen this year, you could have 2 state titles in soccer, because the girls team made it to the regional final last year, only lost 1 senior. Freshmen and sophomores were like the cream of the crop of that team. Mark Cross, it's just unfair, isn't it? That's unfair. They have freshmen and sophomores leading, right? He keeps on winning.
I hate to say it's unfair, because that shortchanges what the job that they did, and they put the time in. The kids certainly work, and again, they have benefited from a program that has, the seeds have been planted before they've gotten to them, and but that's of no fault of their own, and that they're reaping the benefits of the work these kids have put in, and at the same time have been able to mold them into a group, of the cream of the crop of all of the youth teams that we've had, and. We've got kids, and it's funny you said First Flight was our own worst enemy, or biggest opponent, and at times it was even in practice too, though, not just mentally, but also in practice. The best team they would play all year would be themselves. It was like the old ACC football where Clemson was number 1 and Clemson's second string was number 2, and everybody else was fighting for third. But it slowly evolved into a program where the kids are all going for the same goal. We don't have one great player. We've got kids that are playing for each other and playing for First Flight High School. And that's when it's really fun, is when nobody cares who gets the credit.
Yeah, and that's what I've seen the last couple of years, and what I meant obviously earlier about the attitudes have gone to the wayside, and maybe that's just with the school settling in and people starting to understand, this is where I go, this is my school now, and that kind of thing. Basketball, though, your team attempted 75 threes in one game. Jack Constanzer thinks that's too many threes. Why?
Well, Jack's wrong.
I just talked to him on the phone. He said 75 threes.
Can I come back?
Yeah. But it was, it's a lot. We've shot a lot of threes. We shot 188 threes in 3 games. And 2 of those games have had running clocks the whole second half. So we are certainly shooting the ball quite a bit, but I've got kids that have completely bought into the system that we're playing, and it's so much fun to coach these kids, and we're so much fun to watch that, we're going to surprise some people this year, and people don't realize how fast we play until they play us. And so it's going to be a really fun year with these kids.
Did I see it right? You have like 6 or 7 freshmen on varsity? Is that?
Yeah, I've got 7 freshmen right now. We've got to be the youngest team in the state. I've got 4 seniors, and I'll get Blaze Rodman back in December. His Christmas Day, he's going to be released by the doctor. It'll be my 5th senior. So I got 5 seniors, I got a junior, I got 2 sophomores, and I got 7 freshmen.
Wow, that has to be. There's no question about that. But like you said, the season though incredibly early. For one, Northeastern probably won't see the basketball court until mid-December. Possibly because of football. Same perhaps for Hertford County, even Edenton. That all being said, what do you see in store? What are some storylines for Northeastern Coastal Conference basketball?
It's going to be a lot of change this year. We've got so many new coaches coming in, and again, you got, just like you said, teams not being able to get in practice time before the season really gets rolling. We could actually have to postpone conference games because Northeastern and Edenton and Hertford County could not yet be done with football. And for them, I hope they're not done, and that's not selfishly saying from a basketball perspective, although, there's a part of me that's like, go keep going. But I'm rooting for them too. I think the world of all of the coaches in our league. Our coaches work extremely hard. I'm very proud of all of the coaches in our league. We got 5 teams in the state playoffs, and we hosted a state playoff game. And, it's fun to watch this league be successful. And have 3 teams, tied for the number one seed in our league, and watch them, go through the first round. All 3 of them won pretty big. Bert T gave South Columbus a huge scare. We certainly gave Fairmont all they wanted. So, it's not like the bottom tier teams of our league can't play either. But as far as basketball goes, we got a new coach in Curry Tuck who's playing much more up tempo. I've seen them play twice now. They really want to get after it. They got some good size with the sophomore kid who's bagging a 6'9" kid who didn't get to play last year. You got Bert T with a new coach coming in who's been extremely successful where he's been. You got Coach Woodley going back to Edenton, and he's certainly doing something with that program. And I've talked to him recently. He's real excited about the number of kids he's got, the athleticism that they have. Charles Simmons is always going to have Hertford County ready to go. And, Northeastern has certainly been, as the top of the league. They've been the premier team in the league, for several years now. Ronald Nixon does a fantastic job with his kids. He's lost quite a bit, but you can look at the athletes that they have on that football team and know that there's not going to be a huge drop-off. Once he gets everyone back, they're going to be ready to go.
Yeah. And as you just mentioned, on top of the big weekend for First Flight got to host a playoff game for football. First time in about 10 years, fell short, of course, against Fairmont. You got to think First Flight benefited from this experimental playoff system where I think Al Davis would say, just win, baby. Mm-hmm. Had a little easier non-conference schedule, and add to it, you're essentially 4th after the 3-way tie for first in the Northeastern Coastal, and you're home. If it's last year's system, First Flight's on the road.
Yeah, and I'll be completely honest with you. I don't know how we had a home game. I'm the conference secretary, and I figure all that stuff out.
Yeah.
And we were actually fit because Bert T beat us. So we actually finished 5th in the league. And Fairmont had a better record. We're 6-1 in their league. And I don't know how they end up having to come to us. But with that being said, I don't want to take anything away from Coach Prince and what the job that he does. And no one respects how hard it is in certain sports at First Flight High School to be successful more than me, and to see what he gets with the kids, how hard he works them, and how much he has them believing that they can win every night is something else, and it's something special. He's one of the best football coaches I've ever seen.
Yeah, I would venture to say if it wasn't for, I guess, my love affair with Grantley Mazzell and Bert T and what he was able to do with so many things that happened off the field that could have derailed Bert T, I'd give Coach Jim Prince Coach of the Year in the Northeastern Coastal. Jennings Baker, the best running back you don't know of and don't know about.
Yeah, he's got some kids that can. He gets more out of his kids than any coach I've seen in any sport. And I've seen some great coaches, and I've seen some kids who go all out. But the job he does day in and day out is something that I truly respect, and I value his friendship and also what his program does for mine. I actually don't have many kids who play football, but it's the attitude, it's the belief, that those kids help instill in all of our other sports, and so I'm eternally grateful for Coach Prince for the job he does at First Flight.
Well, as expected, the league's 3 champions all won with ease. Northeastern, Edenton, and Hertford County. Eagles beat Midway 48-12. Edenton crushed Wilson Beddingfield, and in 2AA, the Bears beat Franklinton. Malcolm, if you had one weakness for each of these clubs, you've seen all 3 of these teams play multiple times. If there's one weakness they need to freshen up on, to really work on, tweak this week in practice, going into Friday's games, what is it?
If you're going to start with Edenton, I think it's been an issue that they've kind of dealt with all year, but they found a way to overcome it except for their 2 losses, and it's turnovers. They have a propensity to turn the football over, fumble it 2 or 3 times a game. They may lose a couple of them, but it seems like that's always been a reoccurring theme with Edenton. Now going up against Kinston, a team that's got some playoff experience. It's going to be interesting to see if that same trend that happens again. How will they handle it? For Hertford County, can they get off to a quick start and maintain it? They were kind of in a little bit slower against Pasquotank earlier this year, and then they took over in the second half, and they were in a tight ball game against Northeastern. Can Hertford County, keep the pedal to the metal offensively, and probably for Northeastern, how do they fight complacency? Everybody's telling you that you're great, you're the number 1 seed. How are you going to handle that against the Southwest Onslow team that ended a lot of the seniors' season a few years ago? Will they come out with some fire and put away a team that they should put away?
Yeah. Also in the first round, Gates top Lewisburg. They're going to head to East Carteret in the 1AA playoffs. That's scary because East Carteret is beating teams by like 90 points a game.
Yes. Basketball scores.
Yeah, absolutely. Plymouth demolished Weldon in 1A. Manteo lost to the Vikings' next opponent, Jones Sr. That ended up being the final game coached by one of our good friends, Eddie Twine. Has done an outstanding job for Manteo these past few years. He's a Dare County, Roanoke Island guy. I know Coach Wims, you got to know Coach Twine, I'm sure. You hate to see him go, but you got to congratulate him and good luck with retirement.
Oh, a great career. He really came in a situation that could have been difficult for someone to come into, following up there, the success that they had when he took over. You don't ever want to be the guy who follows the guy, and he did that. He's done a great job. But Walt Davis done such a good job at Manteo. When he left, it was kind of, who's going to take it? And, when Eddie took the job, there was a lot of people who didn't know how the program would respond, and he just did a fantastic job with it. I saw him last night at the Manteo basketball game, and it's good to see him, and I want to congratulate him on a fantastic career and hope that he enjoys retirement.
Like you said, Bertie putting up a strong fight against South Columbus before falling. I believe that was pretty much a tie game in the third quarter. Camden just fell a little bit too far behind Granville Central, defying Scott Jones's, defying Brandon Underwood's, whatever you want to call it. Had a couple of those turnovers there first half, late in the first half, started the second half, and lost to Granville Central in the 1AA. For Clemens, up 10 on Northampton at halftime with a chance to get to the second round, and the wheels fell off. The wheels fell off. I'm being nice about it.
Yeah. And
the Pirates lose to Northampton at home. Mad Mesquite and Columbia also went down in 1A. What will we miss from some of these teams bowing out after round one? What are we missing?
I think just the turnaround story for Camden this year. I mean, with all the adversity they had to deal with, playing a difficult non-conference schedule, and with Brandon Underwood being in and out of the lineup, and just the fight that they showed the final few weeks of the season to get the number 2 seed, upsetting Gates at Gatesville. I think that's going to be something we're going to miss. It's just that Camden magic.
Yeah, I really thought Camden was going to win. It was nip and tuck there for most of the first half. I really believe Camden was going to go up there and win. It might have had we knew both sides of it. One side, you're going in with four wins in a row, but the last two, Mad Mesquite and Crestville, you're not learning anything about your team beating those teams. You have to play them in conference. And does that give your team a little bit too much of an inflated sense of worth? I know Coach Jones well enough that he was telling the guys, listen, you're not as good as it looks like against a team like Crestville, who only played 10 players for most of that game. 10 players. And how do you keep – they're still kids.
Yeah.
How do you keep them humble enough to know that you're going into a playoff situation, you're playing a team that's nowhere near like the last few weeks? And I'm sure they knew that. Mm-hmm. But how do you keep that in perspective? It sounded like a couple of those turnovers really, as Coach Jones told me, just changed the tide immensely, and it was too much to overcome. So yeah, we'll definitely miss Camden because of starting 1-6 and finishing 5-7 is definitely going to be good moving forward into next year. Quemmons just missed a couple of times, just misfired on opportunities to win 8 games and finish with a winning record. If we've said it a few times, if Coach Aaron Burke has 8 or 9 wins, it makes it a lot harder to push him aside.
Yes,
as far as being a football coach and saying, okay, we're just not going to make you the guy. You're just interim. You're looking now and going, okay, maybe they do respond well to Coach Burke. Maybe this is the guy. He's a Perquimans guy. He's done anything and everything for that program, but finishing 6-6 is not the same. It's just going to make Perquimans fans, and I know a few of them just go, no. We want to look out there and see what we got, and they certainly deserve to look out and just see who would be interested, because there will be people. There's always somebody interested in being a football coach, high school level, whatever. So, yeah, those are certainly things we'll miss. Perhaps, Malcolm, there's more that we might miss if we don't take a look at what's available for Black Friday. It's the NENC Black Friday sale. So let's hear more about the bargains.
Find everything you need from the teams that don't need them anymore with these Black Friday deals. Wake up early because school's open at, well, they don't because it's a holiday. Use your imagination. All Scott Jones Field apparel is regular price, and the deal is all proceeds go into next year's campaigns for new Camden Board of Education members. Check out this: 14 days of practice for Pasquotank football. Buy without a playoff berth, and we'll give it to you for free. A Curry Tuck volleyball net ravaged by kills from Cameron Johnson and Madeline Duncan, deemed unrepairable and must be replaced for the Lady Knights run back to the 2A East Regional Final and beyond. Price negotiable. Speaking of ravaged nets, this original batting cage, once used for College of the Albemarle baseball, will be yours with a donation to the Find a New President Who Cares About Sports Fund. Also, this replica Oscar Smith football tiger cage, which is a steal according to Hertford County, who appears to have a bear cage. Sparklers included.
And we'll be right back after this.
I'm a student athlete, which means I'm still learning.
I'm still growing.
I'm getting important lessons about perseverance, teamwork,
determination, respect, and dedication through playing sports at my school.
Mom, Dad, Coach, in a few years,
I'll probably forget a lot of the details, but I won't forget the lessons I learned
from the way you act towards my teammates,
coaches, referees, and other fans.
What kind of lesson do you want me to learn? I'm watching.
Sportsmanship, together we make the right call.
This message has been brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association.
Yes, I did.
Well, we're talking to a coach from a state champion.
Yep.
Works for me. And now let's get to Shimon now.
Shimon, get on me, all right.
It's just set up real nice, isn't it, Eagles? The 2A bracket for Northeastern football has next to none of the roadblocks who have been state ranked in the classification. Talking East Duplin, Northside, Jacksonville, High Point Andrews, Clinton, all those schools are 2AA. So is Hertford County. The other 2A number one, that's South Columbus, and we just mentioned that's the number one from the Mideast. RT, right there with them. RT finished 5th in the conference. 6th? 4th? How would we do that with the three right. I keep getting confused on that, but bottom line is RT was at the bottom half of the conference, is my point. Northeastern, you are the favorite to reach your first state final since 2010. Don't mess this up. You even get to exact revenge against a postseason nemesis in Southwest Onslow Friday, and perhaps Kinston a week later if it tops Edenton. And if not, we're all for Northeastern Edenton too. We know how we get hyped up for some Northeastern Edenton football. But instead of another what if, you could ask, hey, what didn't go wrong? But if it ends in what if, then you're going to undoubtedly hear Shimon now.
Shimon.
Northeastern's Trey Sawyer has more than 160 tackles from the middle linebacker position for the 10-2 Eagles, who, of course, like we mentioned, welcomed Southwest Onslow in the second round of the 2A state playoffs. Here's why that ridiculous number, one of the best in the state. This is why it's legit, and who the Northeastern senior would like to see in the third round if the 2A East's top seed advances on Friday. I think one stat that sticks out to me about your performance is 154 tackles in 10 games. I believe you missed a game. So 10 games, 154 tackles. Does that surprise yourself? Like you're like, wait a minute, do I have that many?
Not because my goal for this year was actually 200, so I'm trying to get to 200 this year. Sophomore year, they didn't put in like I think the last 3 or 4 games, so that one only like finishes at like 140 something. Sophomore year, 140 something sophomore year, and then junior year I finished with 160 something. So this year I kind of want to set the bar a little bit higher, try to reach 200, close to it.
We don't know Friday stats officially, but I know I got a few photos of you tackling. Mm-hmm. So you're probably at 160 plus right now. Is it possible you could get the 200? Obviously, you need to play more than one more game, I would think.
I think I could do it. I mean, especially since we are aiming to go to state, so that's an extra game that we'll have. And, the defense they won this week, they like to run the ball too, so there's more chances to get to the ball, make a play.
What's made this season different than your last three?
With coming from sophomore year when we had Trouble and Beast and John, that fearsome four on the D-line, they was always in the backfield. And then last year, we still had a good D-line. And this year, our D-line is good, but this time we have more like we have people that are trying to get more experience in playing D-line compared to the previous years, which they're doing a really good job at. And I feel like it's just kind of in my head and just makes me want to work harder so that way, even if it's someone's not the strongest, it doesn't look like you can tell that, that's the weak link because the play's still being made in that spot.
You went from defensive lineman to Mike linebacker?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, freshman year, I was a D lineman, defensive tackle. And then sophomore year, I went to linebacker.
Why? What was the reason?
The coaches, they just moved me back.
Mm-hmm. Do you like playing linebacker? Is that been so much better for you, a better transition?
Oh, I've been playing linebacker my whole life.
So it was just that 1 year you played lineman.
Mm-hmm.
Did you slim down a little bit for linebacker or not? Or
I think just from practices, just naturally slimming down and weights and everything.
What allows you to accumulate this? This is like looking at ncpreps.com. Mm-hmm. You're in the top 9 or 10 in the state for tackles. What is it? Anticipation? I mean, what allows you to make these plays?
The coaches give me my key during the week, so we practice that, and then, like I said, the D linemen, they all do their job, clogging the holes, pushing everything out. Our other linebackers that stab, they keep the outside contained. So I just do what I'm supposed to do, and because of my team, it allows me to get there and help make a play.
So you attribute a lot of it to your D line pushing guys outside, right. And you're able to be you're able to blitz a lot more, or
actually I don't actually blitz as much. Now we used to blitz a lot more when we was in 4-4, but we haven't really blitzed as much a lot this year. So it's really just scraping the play, cleaning up from what the D line clogged up. If they were trying to dive it, our D linemen do their job, and then they trying to bounce, and then I'm there to make the tackle.
Mm. There's been some good defensive groups. You mentioned 2014, probably one of the best Northeastern's had. Would you agree is that group hard to live up to?
On the D line or just as in general?
Defensive unit in general.
I mean, that was a good group. That was a really good group. But I feel like this year we just as strong. Everybody done worked hard on the off season to make get better. Because Coach Moore don't play. Having somebody just there, so he makes sure that whoever's in, they can do their job efficiently.
Did you know that at least before the first round playoff game, you, Trevion Freshwater, Malik Combs, Tamon Stallings, Clinton Bernard, all have 100-plus tackles on the year?
So I know me and Fresh did. I know Fresh was close, and then I haven't seen Tamon's or Bernard's in them, but I know it was all close together somewhat.
Mm-hmm. What does that say about the group? So many guys with tackles, not just like one guy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we all got good players that they all do their job and they get to the ball. Everybody works hard in practice, so it shows in the game that not just one person is doing it, but everybody is able to make plays.
You feel the pressure this year as a senior that haven't gotten to a state championship since 2010. Every year something just happens. You're favored and something happens and you lose and you have that heartache again and you say unfinished business and then something happens again. I mean, it's all that weigh on you.
Yeah, it comes back because it's like, every time we've lost since maybe my freshman year, it's always been by a point. Wilson Hunt, I think, was it Lake Taylor lad? The first time we played him, we lost by a point or something like that. Close.
You're talking about losses, not even just playoffs.
Yeah. Not just playoffs. It's always been those little things, those little details that we, sometimes didn't get. And it caused us to, like, this year, we've really been focusing on making sure we get the extra point, whether it comes from blocking right and getting the snap right. Like, we focus on all the little things. So, yeah, it is a lot of pressure because this senior class, we don't want to be like, man, we almost did it like the rest. We want to be able to say, yes, we did it.
Mm-hmm. What has it meant to play a little more vocal role in offense? And you've got a couple touchdowns rushing. You got a receiving touchdown, I believe. Of course, the pick 6 last Friday against Midway. Did you ever think you'd be this much hands-on on all phases? You just need a kickoff return or something, right? You have everything.
I never really thought about it as far as like offense because, the whole time I've been here, I never really had any carries or anything, just blocking offensively for Power High. And I forgot what it was. I think we ran that Flamingo, and after that play, he decided to give me a chance to try to run the ball. And
the Flamingo, what's that?
The fullback of like a fullback, run through the line and then like a deep pattern, so you go up and out. And ever since, just the coaches, I guess they saw something in me and let me run the ball.
So you didn't ask; they just, hey, he's a big enough kid, and maybe he can drive a few yards.
I used to always pick with him and be like, hey, let me run the ball, man. Like when somebody was like, if we in practice, he's like, man, run the ball. I'm like, I got you. And then I used to say something about it in the off season. I guess, I don't know, he just changed his mind. I don't know, but it happened. And
right.
I think that touchdowns came from offensively, again, starting with the O-line, doing their job, quarterback getting the ball off and everything.
Do you play in a gospel group? I play group. I've seen some clips about this.
I play guitar for my church in Camden.
Okay.
Mount Zion Church of God in Christ Deliverance Center. It's right there by Camden County High School.
Okay. What got you started in that and playing guitar?
Well, my whole family is like sports, music, education. So music and sports really went deep. When I was like 6, before I was 6, I actually was playing drums. And then when I turned 6, my grandfather got me a guitar. And ever since then, I just been playing guitar. And now I'm learning a few other instruments.
Okay. What's your favorite song?
I don't really have
to play or?
I don't
What's the first one you learned?
Ooh, the first song I learned. I think it was Chasing After You. Yeah, I think that was probably the first actual song I learned how to play the chords and the melody too. Was Chasing After You.
Don't you think that's pretty interesting? Chasing after you and you chase after.
Yeah, that one and How Great Is Our God. Those two songs. Yep.
Okay. And more classic hymns you like?
Well,
Blessed Assurance.
Well, we don't do as many hymns as we used to. Back when I was younger, we did a lot of hymns. Now we don't do as many, but we still do some. Okay. Crazy.
And what has been the focus this week going into Southwest Onslow? What is something you had to really look at on any type of game film or just work to get better on?
From just the practice we had yesterday, we were just working on the little details when it came to getting snap right field goals because we cannot be missing extra points, things like that. That could cost us big when it comes down to it.
It did last year against Kinston.
Right. And really, as a team, like the seniors, we kind of got together and talked, and we're just trying to make sure that nobody takes the team light because any team can come and show up, and that could be the one game we're like, oh yeah, we got this, So really, it's really been just like, okay, everybody got to be on the same page together, reading out the same sheet of music, all of that.
Did you say that happening at Hertford County? We got this, and you didn't have this.
Right. Not necessarily we didn't have it because, but just coming in the game, I don't think we were as focused as we should have been. Like Edenton, again, we was hyped every day in practice, Yeah.
What if you played Edenton in the third round? I know it's in the back of your mind, just a little bit. It
is.
I know people don't want to talk about it, but you look at the brackets.
Right. If we play Edenton. Whoever steps on the field, we can play them, show up. But really, I want to get back to Kinston. I want them to come here. That hurt last year, not being able to get there. And they winning again by 1 point. I want them to come here so we can get that. Just get it back one time for the team that played last year. So I really want to see it.
Love to eat turkey, 'cause it's good. Love to eat turkey like a good boy should, 'cause it's
back on the NENC Sports Radio Show, Malcolm Shields, Owen Hassel, and with us, First Flight boys basketball coach Chad Williams. And I've just forgot the most important stat: the winningest coach in First Flight basketball history. Mm-hmm. He agrees. He knows it's true.
And the losingest.
Well, that's like the glass half empty right there. We're trying to keep things uplifting and positive.
Got to keep myself grounded, Owen. Got to keep myself grounded.
It's true. He's doing that. That's good. NENC Twitter shouts.
Your tweets go here. Twitter shouts.
Here's one from Eric Rose. He's at ERoseMPH. I guess miles per hour. He must be fast. Here's what he tweeted out. Bettingfield keyed on the run all night against the Edenton Aces. So at KB8ball, that's, of course, Keemon Bailey, runs for 310 yards and 6 touchdowns. Not bad. Not much keying on the run, I guess, after all.
No.
Yes, Mr. Bailey, have yourself a game, sir. He's going to eclipse 2,500 yards this year, unless something just really bad happens. Mm-hmm. He's already 2376 or 75, I think, after, as we just noted, last Friday's first round game, 310 yards, 6 touchdowns. He's going to make that discussion, Malcolm, for Player of the Year in this corner really interesting. You got Keemon Bailey, maybe Travion So Freshwater So Clean, J.R. Walker. Who else might get a little bit of interest, a first place vote, something like that?
You got to think those are the top 3 goal getters at this point. I mean, all 3 of them have been integral parts of both of their teams, and it's going to be interesting. I mean, with 2 guys on one team with Northeastern, it's kind of like the same debate that we had last year with Roundtree and Clarence Jones. Yeah,
Devontae Roundtree, Clarence Jones, and you could make such arguments for both sides that where do you go wrong?
Right.
Now, Keemon Bailey is just on offense.
Yes.
Freshwater is a top 10, top 12 guy in sacks this year.
Yeah.
Not to mention he's run for 1,200, 1,300 yards on like 5 carries.
Yes.
He's got like a ridiculous few amount of carries.
Yeah, a lot of kids making business decisions out there when it comes to him.
Yeah, when he gets the ball, you've seen it, I've seen it a couple times where tacklers have just walked away from him. They don't want none of it.
Nope.
The only team that's really taken the fight to him is Hertford County.
Yeah, Hertford County.
And wore him down. So it can be done.
Yes.
It's just not easy.
No.
And that's why, and these 2 guys are sophomores. We talked about unfair. First Flight Soccer winning all the time. That's not fair. They win all the time. This isn't fair to have 2 sophomores like J.R. Walker and Travion Freshwater doing what they're doing. Yeah. 2 more years of those guys. The rest of the conference just doesn't. Just going, come on now. So, but this was about Keemon Bailey, of course, and his great year he's having. He's obviously number 1 in the area for rushing yards. We encourage all of you to tweet about NENC Sports, and yours might get put on the air. Just post your thoughts or questions. We'll try to answer them. Use the hashtag NENC Sports. Now we got some football predictions.
NENC Picks of the Week.
Let's start with Gates at East Carteret. I think we just mentioned how dominant East Carteret's been. I believe scored 85 points.
I believe so.
In the first round game against Rosewood. I don't care who you're playing. You put 85 points up. You know the clock's running, and you still put up 85 points. You've got your subs in. You still put up 85 points. This is going to be a heck of a difficult road here for Gates. I got to go East Carteret.
I'm going to have to go with the Mariners as well.
Coach Williams.
Yeah, I'm going with the Mariners.
Jones Sr. at Plymouth. We've mentioned many times how Plymouth in the 1A East, there's just no competition. Jones Sr., I don't think is going to be that team. I think maybe a North Edgecombe, somebody else could be. It's just not going to be Jones Sr. I got the Vikings.
Can't go against the defending state champs. I'm going with Plymouth.
That makes 3.
Hertford County at High Point Andrews. High Point's in the East this year. Every so often that happens. Eventually we're going to have Asheville in the East, and I'm going to say that's enough. No Moss. High Point in the East. Just want to make that clear. How, at least to me, how ridiculous that sounds. But if
we played West Stokes in the East in the first round in 2009.
West Stokes. Now, people, that is Winston-Salem. Just to let
that's correct.
People know that the area. I mean, that's beyond High Point.
Wow.
Yeah.
Come on. Anyway, Hertford County at High Point Andrews. Just a trip alone could be difficult. I don't know. This is hard for me. I'm going to have to lean towards High Point Andrews.
I'm going to have to go with the home team and go with Andrews.
I got faith in Coach Saxby. I'll take the Bears.
All right. Kinston at Edenton. Oh, Kinston. Oh, Kinston. It's not basketball season. We know that much. You got Kinston coming to the prettiest little town in the South at Edenton. Wow. You mentioned the turnovers, Malcolm. That would bother me too at this point in the year. I know you run an option offense and some of those pitches could go anywhere and everywhere, but it's the passing game too.
Yes.
With quarterback Luke Hoggard. Some of these passes, he's just looking at his receivers for like 2 hours and giving all the time in the world for very eager defensive backs to just swipe, go. And I'm saying that only seeing Edenton like twice this year. Could that happen again Friday? If it happens early and it gets Edenton in a hole, the Aces will be in trouble. I just have faith in them being able to overcome it once again, especially at home. I got to give it to the Aces.
It's going to be interesting, if that turnover does come via the passing game, how does the team react? Because it seems like when there's been turnover in the passing game, the guys kind of sink their heads a bit. But the one key thing that's been so consistent for Edenton this year has been that defense. I think those guys are going to show up. It's going to be a tight one. I'm going to give the edge to the Aces. Yeah,
I'm going to go with Coach Hoggard and the Aces on this one. Setting up round 2, man. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Because Southwest Onslow at Northeastern, this is a team that has been a thorn in Northeastern's side, and I know Coach Antonio Moore has been harping on it this week with his guys. You mentioned it early. Some of these freshmen like Trey Sawyer, Tamon Songs, they were freshmen in 2013 when Southwest Onslow, it looked like Northeastern had the game won. It was the East Regional Final. Northeastern scores a touchdown. It would go up 2 scores. It's late in the game. That's going to put it on ice. The Eagles are going to their second state championship in 4 years, big-time accomplishment, and then there's a flag, you see. It's a legal formation. Well, first of all, how'd the play continue to be run after that? But that's another story. And it just negates it. And it just took a lot of air out of Northeastern. It just sometimes it's that one play they can do it. Northeastern gets stuffed. Southwest Onslow takes over. They go down and score, and just the whole game, the whole dynamic changed. That was 2013. 5 or 6 years earlier, Southwest Onslow wins again at Northeastern on a last-second field goal. So Southwest Onslow not been good for the Eagles. Now, this isn't the same Phil Paget put a statue up of the coach at the place, led Southwest Onslow Stallions team 7-5 this year. Had a losing record, I believe, the year before, so they're getting their footing back. I've got to feel like that Northeastern's going to be hype again. Like you hit on it again, consistency or just getting up for a game. They haven't been hyped for a game since Edenton. They really haven't been juiced up, motivated, whatever you want to call it. If they're not now, when will they be?
Yeah.
So they will be up for this game. They will be ready, and they're going to beat Southwest Onslow.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Northeastern.
By at least 3 touchdowns.
Oh,
there you go. Calling a shot.
So this would be Edenton Northeastern 2. And if that happens, it's easy to look at just the score and how Northeastern won. But that was a turnover situation. And then the score right before halftime. Because even then, Edenton's still hanging around. You're seeing some Edenton Northeastern things happen. And that really killed it. Really, the Edenton defense did its job. Most part of that first half, it was just the short field where J.R. Walker scores early. And then that wide receiver pass, Tyshawn Vaughn, tossing it in the end zone, I believe, to Tyleek Overton. That was really the scores. The others were like pick 6. It was another fumble. And just, I would like to think the wheels wouldn't fall off like that again in the rematch. So, hey, Edenton Northeastern, I like to see it. I do know this. Northeastern wants a piece of Kinston. They want a piece of the Vikings.
I don't blame him.
There's no doubt about it. If you heard Trey Sawyer talk, he wants a piece of the Vikings. Because, it's got to be tough when you lose by a point. And then you see that team the next week beat another team by a point when they were down again to get to the state championship. You're thinking, what? This was ours.
Yeah, and they were in control of that game against Kinston in the 3rd round last year. It's just, connect on a field goal late in that 4th quarter, get a touchdown in that 2nd quarter that was called back on a penalty. We're probably talking about Northeastern going a little bit farther, but you can understand that those kids really want Kinston.
Yeah. Special teams, again, you got to watch for that. And I know these guys are just so much more aware of the special teams. They're special, and they need to be special. You need to hold on to that snap, the whole thing. Northeastern's got to have that. Northeastern has just got to have that. They don't want to repeat because you can make the argument special teams cost them against Kent on a couple of occasions. Okay. Colleges real quick. Malcolm, ECSU men got their first win Tuesday. They took on Crosstown School Mid-Atlantic Christian. 86-59 was the final there from the Vaughn Center. Looks like the Vikings are going to be a few more weeks possibly without their coach, Aliko Dunk, who's on personal leave.
Yes, that's how it's been phrased, that he's been on leave. But it, when some of our reporting, we found out that Coach Dunk has been charged with assault on a female, which dates back to September. He was arrested back in October. I guess a few days later after he was arrested, the victim that he was accused of striking, Sandra Sutton, he also filed charges against her for also simple assault as well. So it looks like this is going to be going through the court system. The next court date is going to be sometime in December. So, I mean, you're looking, it's a potential that this could go into conference play in January.
Yeah. And supposedly he's still teaching at the school, and you make that clear. Mm-hmm. So he has not been fired by any means. Right. That none of that has happened. This is just a situation he's having to deal with right now and get through. Mm-hmm. And so far, the Vikings are having to play without him. Mm-hmm. Coach Lou Grimsley taking over in not an interim role, but he's still called an assistant coach, but he's got the head coaching duties, I guess is the best way to describe it. So ECSU trying to get through that. ECSU women lost to Francis Marion on Tuesday night. So they're still looking for a first victory of the season. But we got Thanksgiving break, so we got a few days to just kind of calm down.
Yeah, yes.
And chill, and I hope everyone's enjoying the holiday. So we can go ahead and close this up. And, of course, remember to always follow us on Twitter at NENC Sports. I'm an ONOBX. Malcolm?
I'm at Malcolm_Shields.
That's for the latest sports updates, and pick up a copy of the Daily Advance newspaper. We'd always appreciate that. We almost always go beyond our radio time. So go to YouTube and search for either WRVS 89.9 or NENC Sports. And Coach, we enjoy having you on the show. Will you come back and join us again?
Absolutely, man. Anytime. I appreciate everything that you guys do to try and promote athletics in Northeastern North Carolina. And it's not just the Elizabeth City crowd. You know, you guys speak for all of us out here on the beach and out in Ahoskie and in Berkeley County and in Plymouth and all of these guys. And, you know, we're really appreciative of what you guys do for us. And you know, I don't take that for granted, to say it lightly. You know, we can't promote ourselves nearly as much as the list. You know, we can't reach the listeners that you guys have without you. So thank you guys for what you do.
Well, it's something that we love to do.
Yep.
Bottom line, it's not a job if you love what you do.
Amen.
Everyone knows that. So for Owen Hassel, Malcolm Shields, Coach Chad Williams from First Light Boys Basketball, it's the NENC, and don't you see,
athletes live here.
NENC Sports Radio Show is produced at the WRVS-FM studios on the campus of Elizabeth City State University.